Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Fier'S Dd-991 podcast. I'm Rocky, that's Gilly, Lil Tate, Joe, and Thumper. And we're going to start talking about a little bit of more DEI stuff because it keeps on coming around because people keep on getting screwed up.
And the reason why we're talking about this today, people, this is on Gateway Pundit today. Election denier Stacey Abrams, bizarre take on Vice President J.D. Vance calls him a DI graduate. Because he went, we bring it up here. So if you are a vice president who graduated from high school in Appalachian Mountains, you went to a Title I funded school, you are a DI graduate. It gets even better. This is the one that really pisses me off. We know that cross-country service-disabled veterans who have access to resources do so because of the Americans with Disabilities Act and DEI law. So let's be clear. They may try to make it a racial issue, but they're coming for everyone that they don't believe is worthy of their very narrow-minded idea of what it means to be an American. Well, what she doesn't realize is the fucking fact that anybody who gets service-connected, that shit was fucking earned. Blood, sweat, fucking tears, people. You know, we earned our fucking jobs, our qualifications, our fucking rank in the military back then. It wasn't just handed to us. You had to know your fucking shit on it. And get back to Vance, every school here gets federal fucking funding. Every school in the fucking nation does. So that bitch can just shut the fuck up about that. What's your all's take on it?
Well, figure the source, right? So it's always like you hear the story, and then you look at the photo attached to the story, and you're like, there you go. Somebody's got to be saying whatever else is saying ain't true. So
well, and I know they're pissed off that fucking Trump wants to make people earn their shit again, like it was back in the day. You know, you can still have diversity with people that's qualified to do the fucking job, whether it's in military or private fucking sector.
This gal, that was the pilot of the pilot in charge in the helicopter that was involved with the mid-air collision. It was the first one since 2002 over American soil. I'll bet you there was quite a few meetings in the back alley or in somebody's house during the delay with the release on her information. What do you think about that?
And she was part of fucking President Biden's fucking administration, too. And she only had fucking 450, 500 hours of flight time. That's not a whole lot. And that fucking main pilot,
not for that airspace.
1,000 hours. That's not a lot.
Not at all. That's about.
So they were very inexperienced crew, and they was missing one fucking crew member too, on the left side. And that was above 150 feet above the 200-foot ceiling for that area, too.
Well, it's definitely showing that because people are not getting their way anymore, they're trying to punish everybody for it.
Yeah.
And that's going to have a bad effect. If people start learning this crap, they're going to start turning on those people that keep on trying to get their way through politics and not doing it the right way through merit and earning
it. Now, Thumper, you flown at Blackhawks, right? How many crew members are there on a fucking Blackhawk?
They can do it with 3, but typically they have 4. You have 2 in the back, 2 in front, typically. I mean, and depending on the helicopter, I mean, I've flown on a Chinook that only has 3 for that crew, but that's rare. That's really rare. Normally with a Chinook, you got 3 in back and 2 up front, typically.
But the enlisted guy in the back's got to be for us, qualified rescue swimmer.
Yeah, typically they're a rescue swimmer and they're a crew chief. So any type of loading or unloading, they're in charge of. The weapons they're in charge of in the back. Because you got crew serve on the sides. Typically, if you got a crew serve weapon on the side, they're going to be operating that. They're also used as lookouts, for other aircraft and hazards, especially depending on where you're flying. If you're flying low altitude, you definitely have to have at least one person in the back. Ideally 2,
Yeah, in that airspace, I mean, it's congested. It's one of the busiest airspaces. They haven't even really got into the whole knobs, or any stuff, or what the crew was
They
wearing.
shouldn't have been wearing them. They shouldn't have been wearing them. You get
Yeah,
whiteout.
they didn't. There's plenty of ambient light. It would have fucked them up just having that stuff on. It'd been confusing.
Yeah,
because of your peripheral vision is so limited with knobs on.
Hey
Well,
guys,
not even that, but you'd get whiteout from all the ambient light. You know, those are
Street
designed for
lights,
low.
car lights. Yeah.
You know, I've used them numerous times. There would be no way in hell I'd put them on in that environment there.
did anyone see the FFA, the senator that was talking to the leader of the FFA, and how that person could not answer a single freaking question?
Oh, that was amazing. I saw that.
Like what the hell's going on? Why are these people put in positions that they know nothing about?
Nothing.
They're supposed to be the expert at that stuff and know the ins and outs as an aviator, know the science, and know what is the rules and regulations. Like
it was
calling out regulations.
We're going to wind up overusing words like travesty here on the show and stuff like that. But Rocky, seriously, man, that was like, I saw like 30 seconds of that interview, and who was Cameron? Holly's good at what he does, and that poor guy, man, he didn't know anything. What? It's like, why are you even there, dude? What do you do? I mean, he was getting to that question, but holy Jesus, I think I sent that link to you guys earlier today or something. I was just so dumbfounded. The poor guy, man. But don't give him that job. We should rehire some CEO from an airline who was an ex-pilot or something like that, who would know airspace limitations. He knew the guy. The shame of it is they're interviewing this guy yesterday. This crash was ages ago now in real time, as far as troubleshooting and research and recovering people and pulling the stuff out of the water. And he had not done any homework before his interview. So that's crazy. Going to testify before Congress. You should probably learn how to do your job before you get there.
Sorry, go ahead.
I can actually show the video if you guys don't mind.
Yeah,
just so you know what we're talking about. Like, this is ridiculous right here.
I'm waiting to see the black box, because we all know we got black boxes on there.
We all, it's pretty clear that the goddamn news keeps saying we're trying to figure out what happened. It's like I won't even watch it, because it's like we fucking know what happened. The two vehicles crashed into each other.
Here's that video right there.
Yeah.
Which wasn't Holly, was fucking Cruz, I think.
There you go.
Yeah, here it is right here, guys. Listen to this crap. This is ridiculous, man.
Mr. Washington, can you quickly tell me?
No, it wasn't Cruz. My bad.
ADSB. Not sure I can answer that question right now. That's okay. We'll just keep going. So that's a pretty important part. So what are the 6 types of special use airspace that protect this national security that appear on FAA charts? Sorry, Senator, I cannot answer that question. So what are the operational limitations of a pilot flying under basic med? And Senator, I'm not a pilot, so but obviously you'd oversee the Federal Aviation Administration. So any idea what those restrictions are under basic med quickly?
Well, some of the restrictions I think would be high blood pressure. Some of them would be.
It's more like how many passengers per airplane, how many pounds in different categories, and what altitude you can fly under. So and then the amount of knots. It's under 250 knots. So it's not having anything to do with blood pressure. So can you tell me what causes an aircraft to spin or stall?
Again, Senator, I'm not a pilot.
Okay.
Good try. God damn.
What are the 3 aircraft certifications the FAA requires as part of the manufacturing process, please? 3 aircraft certifications.
Again, what I would say to that is that one of my first priorities would be to fully implement that Certification Act and report.
You know the 3 types, Mr. Washington? The 3 types? Okay. Yeah, that's type certificate, production certificate, airworthiness certificate. Okay. All right. Let's just keep going, see if we can get lucky here. So can you tell me what the minimum is for landing and departing airliners during the daytime?
I don't want to guess on that, Senator.
Are you familiar with the difference between Part 107 and Part 44809 when it comes to unmanned aerial standards? Unmanned like drones. Are you familiar with this?
Yes.
Okay. You know the difference between those two, Part 44809 and Part 107? You know the difference there?
No, I cannot. Okay. Allow.
That's what I'm talking about right there. Like, this is a continuously DEI disaster. Like, I mean,
I was taking part 107. The county that I worked for as a medical examiner, we use drones and to video scenes and take pictures and get in remote to places if there's a body found in a remote place. And you got to use a drone and you got to be 107 certified. And just doing that, if he were to do just the 107, he would know the different types of airspaces and requirements minimum just by doing the 107. And it's crazy to me that somebody's in charge of this nation's transportation in the air, that many lives, that fast, that delicate of a job, and he doesn't even have part 107.
I'll bet you that whole group, the whole FAA bunch, has the monthly certification for annual or monthly or semi-annual qualifications for doing training with the PowerPoint, death by PowerPoint shit we had to go through all the time. And, even if it sucks doing it, you don't gun deck it. You learn a bunch of stuff. But I guarantee you that dude was exempt from all that because he was in charge.
If he would have just paid the $150, he could have gotten 107 certified. That's what's sad.
Yeah.
What's ridiculous is like some of the stuff they're talking about is like you hear about it, like some of the stuff about weight distribution and everything. That's what a loadmaster does.
Center gravity.
And it's like I'm not even in aviation, and I know that stuff.
Yeah.
There was a plane over in I believe it was Afghanistan when I was over there. It took off, and there's video of it.
Oh, the 747.
And then all of a sudden it just goes down because stuff shifted in the back.
That was a load shift. That's a horrifying video. But those poor guys, man, load shifted and they fell right on their faces. That's a bad video.
And this guy doesn't even know the certifications, and that's one of them. It's like you're in charge of moving millions of people, and you're not gonna learn your craft. That's crazy to me.
Kind of off subject though. But for watching that, thanks for presenting that again, Rocky. What I really got out of it this time was the professionalism of the rep doing the interview. Now he didn't have the Bernie Sanders freaking AOC sensational finger in the air, voice raised. I mean, that's an automatic shut off from professionalism with those two characters. But this guy was cool and calm and gave the guy a chance to just. But yeah, he threw it in there. He goes, "Let me just keep trying until we get lucky. See if you know anything,
I mean, because Republicans, they want common sense, really. They want to find the truth out. Where like you're talking about AOC and Bernie, right?
Yeah.
They don't give a fuck about that.
Really.
If they did, they wouldn't be finger pointed at everybody, especially like RFK Jr., right? They wouldn't be.
Yeah.
But I'll wait to see what that black box is, man. Fucking. Because somebody's head should fucking fry. Because I know like Lil Tate, you was on the LCAX, right? You guys have black box, correct?
Oh, yeah. Anything that's got any kind of aviation is going to have a black box. Just because it's a hovercraft doesn't off the ground.
Yeah. And you guys, it recorded like your speed, right? If somebody went over a certain speed, right?
Yeah, the black box records location, and then at the time, because LCAX could do about 40 knots over the water, basically be like 55 miles an hour, right? A little bit over that. As soon as you hit over 55, they start recording your speed.
And the craft masters, they would get their ass reamed, wouldn't they?
Every time you come back from a mission, that's the first thing that comes out, like green gear on a helicopter, and the black box comes out. It's like a separate piece. But all that information is downloaded, but it's also used for statistics, how's the engine's running, all of that. But it also keeps them on track because here's what's funny. Guys used to go off of Cushion and go fishing. So they would literally go out, come off, because an LCAC is like a giant jumbo, right? So, as soon as it comes off Cushion, it's like riding a boat. They look at the stern ramp or the bow ramp, they'd be out there fishing, man.
Yeah. Now, how high off the water was those? When it's y'all Cushion, right? How high off the water? What, 6 inches? 12, a foot, 2 feet?
It's about 18 inches, but that's where the fingers are touching the ground, water. But the hollow up is, I think if I remember right, it's like almost 8 to 10 feet.
Okay.
I was gonna say, it's like 10 feet, isn't it?
Yeah. Everybody thinks they're pretty small till you get up on them, and then you're on it. It's like,
Oh
okay.
yeah.
They're fucking huge, man.
And it has to be used like we're talking about this helicopter. You have to have Beachmaster, Loadmaster, all your lookouts in place when you do an amphibious landing, because there has been guys killed in training by being fucking run over because they're not in the right spot and you can't see them.
That would suck.
Now, those videos, do you guys think those videos are just made up, or are they real legit videos that show the different angles of that helicopter crashing into that plane?
I think it's legit.
I think they're real.
Watching it, I mean, I think it's legit.
What's really crazy about that plane is my brother-in-law worked for the airline and flew that exact plane before he switched over to another airline. He flew in that exact plane that went
That's terrible.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so weird. I mean, because it's tragic that stuff happens, and people are going to have to lose the pride and look at if someone can actually do the job.
Yeah.
Can they do the job, and can they do it right all the time, 99% of the time? Because no one's perfect, and people are going to mess up. But when you mess up, you're supposed to have procedures in place to make sure that you can handle the situation.
Well, let's go back to the last episode here, or 2 episodes ago, with the safety brief. You know, I mean, those guys have to all meet up in whatever room they call their place they meet up, and then go over the flight ahead. Everything you're going to do on the next flight, they got to go over everything. We're going to do this speed here, and then we're going to do this, and you know, I mean,
and it pisses me off because I've been in a Black Hawk. If you're sitting in the left or right seat, they should have seen that aircraft coming. Those landing lights on and everything. There's no reason why they couldn't have seen it. Because those windscreens, they can actually see up pretty damn high without being obstructed. Plus, they got their window on their door. You know, they would have had a good view. I don't understand why, unless they just weren't paying attention. And when they were asked, if they saw
maybe the guy was on his cell phone sending a text out to who knows what those guys are doing.
I mean, I got a situation similar to that. When I was doing my work on the food truck yesterday, I was taking people's orders, and we were serving food out, and we hear this skid in the building that I was at. It had a mirror, right? So I could see what was going on behind me to see who was coming up. And I saw this person skid, drive over the curb by a house and a church, and hit a telephone pole.
Shit.
And then it smoked, and the person that got out ran in circles. And I don't know if that person was not paying attention. Like, were they texting and driving? Because that seems to be a common thing, right?
This does seem like almost like a traffic accident. Just stupid shit, you know. Just people.
But we all know it was the helo that caused it, not the airline.
Yeah, oh, totally. Yeah,
we all know that.
The aircraft,
that gets back to people. I understand you got to get qualified, right? But do not put unqualified people on a training mission in those high congested areas. Let them train out the wilderness when no one's around, desert, whatever, right?
Okay.
But do not put those inexperienced pilots.
Let's put this in perspective. I believe to get your license in the Army to be a pilot, I believe, and don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure it's like 140 to 150 hours roughly that you have to have in order to be a Black Hawk pilot. I know the other aircraft is longer, but I think Black Hawk is actually about 140 or 150 hours. So if you put that into perspective, you have to have a minimum of like 140, let's just call it 150, right? And she only had 500. That's not much more.
No.
450.
Because 500 is 6 months, every 25 hours every week, right? 1,000 is 25 hours every week for a year.
My Chinook pilots out here that I've flown on in the National Guard unit, when I was in the air show here, we did some stuff out of the back of that helicopter for the air show. Yep. They logged so many hours on that thing. I mean, and then they're National Guard. I mean, these guys are up in the air almost every other day in the Chinooks.
Hang on, guys. Hang on just a second. You can. We all know everybody can qualify for something. We just talked about this before the show about the red tag program, right? You can qualify to do something, but that does not insert integrity and common sense into your heart and soul.
Right.
So the guys get signed off on the red tag, how the red tag system works, and then people still get shocked. People still gun deck. People still go to captain's mast. And so this, obviously, You know, I am assuming that a left seat in a helo is the same as a left seat in an airliner, for instance, for the officer, the pilot in charge, and the co-pilot in charge. But it'll be interesting to see when we find out who's sitting where, why they weren't looking out, like you said, out to the left. There's plenty of visibility. So there's, if you're not looking, there is zero visibility. But if you're looking, there's plenty of visibility. So we'll see. This is going to be, you know, I mean, it's very close to finding out the real person at this point, and but still super tragic. Now
they're gonna have to start patting down their pilots to make sure they don't have their cell phones on them.
Well, did you guys have to you guys are all engineers. Well, a couple of you guys are engineers. Did you ever walk up the brow and then have to blow into a breathalyzer? Do you guys remember that program?
No.
We talked about this earlier.
No, never.
Very brief. It was implemented by the CNO, who was a knothead, I guess, and then approved. So I think it was Mick Pond's idea, and you know how those guys do their jobs. But anyways, it was found to be unconstitutional after like a month. But it just sucked. I was a twidget, you know. We didn't come on board drunk and didn't hit our wrecks all the way, but we've lost, you know, the last 21 or 22 sailors we lost were in those absolutely two stupid collisions in Pac Fleet there, or in the 7th Fleet area, with those two DDGs driving themselves in front of giant ships. You guys remember those? Those were just total tragedies. It's almost as bad as this one, you know. I mean, guys in their racks in the berthing compartment, drowning, trying to get out of their berthing compartment because a watch station is all half asleep and not paying attention. You have the full watch stations on one of those ships that had just left the area of Japan to go underway in the open ocean. I mean, nobody saw anything except the aft lookout, who's usually the one that's sleeping, say, hey, this ship's coming. This ship's coming, and nobody, and then the next thing you know, almost killed the CO, right? You guys, I'm sure you guys read about that one, but
that gives back to trading right there.
Horrible.
It ain't about fucking being drunk or anything. It's about trading.
Yeah.
Just like Lil Tate, you got that article, I think, from Gateway Pundit about how they scrubbed that female pilot that died. Her Facebook, everything, scrubbed her own internet
sucks, because she was distinguished. She was a very distinguished person, but maybe that led to her demise, you know, that she was a
But
superstar.
Why would they scrub all that shit? Because most people, when they die, they don't scrub things, right? They just let it be.
Do they know if she was actually flying the helicopter at the time, or was it someone else?
I don't know if she was. I haven't heard if it was the warrant officer flying it or she was flying it. No one. I haven't heard yet.
Yeah, we'll find out. Either way, she was a senior officer on the aircraft. So, if anything else, it doesn't give you an opportunity to start goofing off and take a nap or whatever.
You stop right there. It took the U.S. Army and Rebecca's family 3 days to scrub her social media accounts. They really don't want the public to know anything about this female pilot. Why is that?
Because they're going to blame it because it's her fault, and they're trying to save the family. She's dead, so you know nothing's going to happen to her now.
But
and I feel sorry for her family. You know, I mean, the stuff that they're already going through. But the thing is they need the new administration is all about transparency. That's what I don't understand. Why they're scrubbing everything. What is there that's going to cause us to think that anything other than an accident and not paying attention? You know.
Because for years now, past administrations would let someone else take the blame when someone fucked up. I robbed this person because I was hungry or some stupid shit like that, right? Now let's translate it into the realm of aviation, military, high-paying jobs, high-risk jobs that are very important. And you're going to blame someone, or you're going to try and hide the truth, because the truth is a lot uglier than everyone wants to admit. And there's a big political fight right now between DEI and doing things the right way. And it's coming to a head. But this was already coming to a head with what happened in the fires in January. I mean, we're barely into February, and we're having stupid shit happen again. Like, it's ridiculous. Like,
I would say a female Army officer that's been trained in helicopters is totally capable of flying a helicopter. You know, I mean, member of the team. There's not anything extraordinary there that she would not be able to do. So as far as like DEIing her into the ground because she was not a stud man, you know, could have been the warrants thing. You know, it wasn't the kid in the back. The kid in the back is the real victim on that helicopter, but it could have been the warrant fucked it up. But at the same time, it's all, you know, it's all teamwork. So if cogs in the team fail, then the gears are going to jam in the wrong way, and the engine's not going to run. So
what
That gets back down to training right there, people. Training.
integrity, but you got to have the right shit when you even go in the military. You know, I mean, you see plenty of guys going to jail or guys that won't comply when they're pulled over by a police officer, whether the cop is right or not. It's just different kind of human beings. Honor, integrity, trustworthiness.
When you were on the Blackhawks, was there anyone observing the radars to make sure there was nothing coming in the airspace, even though you had visual?
Oh, the pilots are always looking, and then you know, depending on what area you're in, you know, you still have traffic controllers and stuff. Even in Iraq, you know, you still had air traffic controllers and everything. Afghanistan, same. You know, it's still a network. It's no different than commercial, other than it's military. You know.
I have a question. Like, what's up with the air traffic controllers? Why weren't they saying, "Hey, you guys are getting too close"?
They did.
You're off path. What do you go 20 degrees?
Yeah, but it was almost right before the accident. Like,
yeah.
Why were they not screaming? Because that system shows the path they're on, and it shows every little movement that these guys do, altitude wise and direction wise. They should have been screaming on those radios. You got a CRJ coming in from this direction. You need to get, you know, up or down, one of the two, but you need to get out of the way.
I think the ATC was just dumbfounded what he was seeing. It's like, this is so stupid. But he sat on his hands for too long and then he queried the helo, "Do you see the aircraft, the CRJ?" And then was bang, that was it. But if you guys see that close up video, the close one, it was actually almost a near miss because the way the video goes, the helo looks to be pretty much intact as it goes to the water, and the airliner has a right wing missing, and it just immediately rolls over, because if you separate the wing, you're going to separate all that propulsion from the starboard side of the aircraft, and the left side is going to take over. It just rolls over right away. And do that rollover, it just drives itself right into the water. So, I mean, the impact is fractions of a second.
The thing is, when it comes to the aircraft controllers, right? See, they was all two different frequencies, right? Civilian and military. That has been said by the people doing the investigation, because they can't listen. The Black Hawk pilots, military pilots, do not have that civilian channel in that area. They did not have it, you know, and they were slow to respond. But they should have seen that big old fucking plane coming in, you know. And that gets back to fucking air traffic controller. See, that guy was doing two people's jobs, right?
Right, but that helicopter probably has a ceiling limit just because
200 feet, Joe, 200 feet, but there was 150 feet above that.
Yeah, twice.
If it was at that 200 feet mark or below that, this shit probably wouldn't happen.
Right, absolutely. They might have missed if it was 5 feet lower. They might have missed.
When we're talking about safety briefs, don't they do ORM about what they're going to do and the route they're going to take and everything? In every flight, Brett, would be what it would be like. Every mission you go on, you're going to fly 20 miles somewhere. You're going to talk about the route you're going to take, the altitude, the windage, and everything like that. And you're going to ORM it and say, okay, this is what's going to happen. This is the things that can happen. This is the probability and the severity and all that other stuff, right?
Yeah, they sit down, they go over their flight plan, altitude, speeds, directions, what they're doing. It's a training exercise to begin with. So they would have been training before the training exercise. Then they would have carried it out. And that way, in their mind, they already know what point of the training they're at when they get to that point, because they've already gone through their flight plan and everything. I mean, when I flew like I said, going back, Chinooks and everything else, you know, depending on if it's a combat flight, it's a little different. but training flights and stuff like that, they go over all of that stuff. In case of we're going to be over this body of water. In case this happens, this is what you do. This is where we're going to go. This is where we're going to meet up. So they should have already known what they were doing, and if they were too high or in the wrong path, even I don't know.
You guys kind of think this was like a sabotage thing?
No.
I don't think it was sabotage. I think it was just lack of self-awareness and spatial awareness, of what's around them and where they're supposed to be going, because it's just like everything we did, right? Like even on the ship, when you're doing a damage control training, right? Say a main space fire, right? You've done it 15 times, 50 times, whatever. You go on that training again, and it's like, okay, I know what's going to happen. I know they're going to wave a red flag, and they're going to do this, and I can guarantee you it was a mundane training. They've done it a million times, or 50 times or whatever, and they just didn't pay attention, I think.
In other words, they were complacent.
Complacency.
Or I think we're also going to find out that it was probably, beyond that, they're just going to find one thing. If they do a thorough investigation, they'll find out that brief, if they did it or not, was probably not adequate. Those guys might have been fatigued, might have not been fatigued. They might even go so far as to launch a command climate survey on all those guys to dig into what this, maybe people will be quiet and not get their stuff done because they are intimidated by their CO, or their CO's an alcoholic or whatever. Yeah. Maybe those guys have been operating on the razor's edge forever, waiting for something to happen, and here it is. What sucks is that the 64 people on the plane had to lose their lives. And I now they have 44 bodies. Now, the last I looked, they had 44 bodies identified. When I looked at yesterday, it was 24 bodies, and those poor people, man, it was everybody. Lots of kids, lots of young people. It was just those flights. I don't know if you guys remember this. I'll age myself, and I'm going to look up what year it was, but same situation. Washington, D.C., dead of winter, freezing cold.
That was like 25 years ago.
A jetliner took off from the airport in Washington, D.C., and they didn't de-ice the wings correctly. And it couldn't gain any altitude, and they knew they were going to crash, and they hit the bridge. Washington, the bridge across the Potomac there. And the bad thing about that, way back then, you just got newspaper reports and NBC News in the evening or whatever, but there was guys that had survived. The ice helped the plane not sink immediately, and people had gotten out of the plane, and they were drowning and going into thermal shock in the water. I'll never forget those images in the newspaper of people reaching out for help, people stopping their cars and jumping off the bridge for 25 feet and landing in the break in the water from the aircraft hitting it, just to try to rescue these people. And then they drowned because they got thermal shock. And it was just, that's, if you ever think about ways you don't want to die, for me, that would be one of them, that's just.
And you're right. I feel bad for the families involved, because I don't think anybody wanted this crap to happen.
Lots of kids on that flight,
And then, I don't know, is there any connection to the crap that happened in Philadelphia?
No,
yeah, I don't think so.
Or the other one where the plane caught on fire or something and they had to evacuate it. It's in Texas somewhere. And
my ex used to say this. She's from Sicily, and she'd say, "Bad news comes in threes." She'd always say that. So every time there's like 2 crashes or something, I'm waiting for the next thing to happen. It seems to be true, but it's just folklore. But yeah, it's crazy. What do you think, Gillies?
Well, I think a lot of it falls down to, the Army's at fault. Those pilots are at fault, really, in my opinion. And also, our government's at fault for fucking allowing the fucking air traffic controllers to be undermanned with the DEI bullshit. Hired, people of color over someone that's white. Because this started Obama. And they said, they did the test. They said it's too white. We got too many white people in there. And now I was watching Fox News, the Republican senator from Oklahoma, he was telling whoever's doing the interview, he said, look, Oklahoma, we have a training ground there. He said, we can't even fill 100% of the classes because of DEI, because they don't want white people in there. They want people of color. And this one article from New York Times or the Washington Times back in last year on February 4th of 2024, it stated that people were fucking getting fucking passed over, people who scored high on the test, right?
Yeah.
They wouldn't get the jobs.
The HEC guys were doing that.
The people that scored the lowest was getting those jobs with the people who scored the highest. That ain't what you want. You want the best fucking people there. No matter if they're white, brown, fucking purple, or whatever, right?
Male
if they're the best in the training, that's what the fuck you hire first.
Yeah, you hire the best, male or female. If they're the best, they get the job because they can do it.
Yeah. It doesn't matter who the fuck you are, because we all know air traffic control, that's a stressful fucking job right there. Very stressful.
Super stressful. Yeah. Absolutely.
And then fucking, I guess one of the supervisors on that day let one person go home. So they was already undermanned. That one guy was doing a job with 2 fucking people.
So real quick, just an update. It looks like they've identified 55 of the 67.
So they found 55 now.
Yeah, 55 of the 67 crash victims have been positively identified.
Or their information has been released because they were probably frozen real quick when they hit the water. So you got to have the other factor of the next of kin notification and permission to release the information on who they are. Right? Maybe they know who they are, but they just haven't finished their box checking with the family authorizing their release of their name.
Yeah, they've released 55 though. They've notified 55 families.
I would hate to be the Keiko doing that one, dude.
It's after a couple, it becomes, it's hard, but I've done death notifications, homicides, and
so how do you separate your mind when, other than having been to battle and having been blown up 8 times, how do you walk up to a scene and separate your mind where you say, well, this is a really bad one, but let's get to it, if you got gallons of blood in the walls, and you probably had a couple exceptional situations you walked in, and you said, holy shit, but you're already steeled to it. When you walk up to the door to check out your scene, how do you separate that, like professionalism and your guts? How do you do that? So
for me, I'm not a religious person, right? So for me, I separate it as, and it doesn't really matter if I'm religious or not. Some people are, and they'll pray before they go in and do whatever. Me, I kind of, in my head, I say, oh, it's going to be bad probably. It's whatever I'm seeing is no longer that person, because what they were before the accident, they are no longer. So it just it helps you kind of disassociate, and you learn over time to have compartments in your brain, right?
Holy shit.
So
I might not have that one, but this is fascinating.
So once you've kind of mastered it, and you do it in your everyday life and not even realize it, you have compartments in your brain where there's people in your life that you don't agree with everything, and you just kind of like put them in that compartment to carry on with your day or whatever. And it's kind of the same thing. And I know that sounds weird because you're dealing with death and maimed bodies and everything else that's super traumatic, but it's the part of life that nobody talks about is the end. They don't like to talk about it. They don't like to see it. And it can get really nasty.
So going back to DEI, you wouldn't want to get some kid graduating in a bachelor's degree from college after finishing high school with like no experience in anything going into that kind of thing, because they have nothing to lean back on. So if you just pick the race person that you're quoted to select and put them on the job, they might not be able to do anything. They might spend a year taking their paychecks, understanding they can't do anything.
I've seen police officers. I've had police and sheriff and state troopers and all that go, I don't know how you do this job, because they see the same thing I see, but they don't have to deal with it. They don't have to walk the tracks of the train tracks and pick up body parts and pieces of brain and everything else, and skull pieces that are this big because they crack their skull underneath the train as it's going or whatever, you know. And I could only imagine. I've actually never done a plane crash other than what we did on, you know, on a ship pulling stuff out of the ocean in LA, off the coast of LA, that Alaskan airline crash.
Yeah, I think about that almost every day, that flight. And there's quite a few videos on YouTube about
I have a bunch
flight.
of pictures from that, you know. I pulled out like sections of the air system for the masks, you know, the tubing. I pulled that out. I pulled suitcases, and there was books floating on the surface, and we were getting those out and all that.
So you were the
And
boat engineer for the picking up the cushions and shit like that. I remember we were picking up boat cushions. I mean, seat cushions, the bottom seat cushions.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so but as a medical examiner, I've never done that, but I've done car accidents and suicides where it was pretty nasty, and
Yeah, that sucks.
train versus pedestrians, stuff like that. I've done those too, and those are probably the most horrific, you know, because it's a lot of dismemberment. But you know, in your head, you learn to separate those and just kind of move on, and you're doing it for a reason. You know, if you're doing a death notification, you're doing it to give them closure, you know, and you gotta understand that they're gonna
So have you ever been caught out where, like, you're in somebody's house and you're on scene and you take a short mental break because you can't just stay tuned in for 6 hours every second, and you glance at the wall and you see a picture of the family portrait or something with that person in a picture that's dead, and it just gives you a little earthquake in your head. I mean, it must be same thing getting blown up in a Humvee. I mean, you look around you and you go, fuck, you know, I mean, I can only imagine what that would be like.
Yeah, it's definitely crazy, and it definitely awakens you to your own mortality. You know, I've been blown up seven times. I mean, by IEDs. I mean, I'm lucky I have all my fingers and toes and everything. I know guys that have a lot less body than I do, and I know guys that never made it back, you know. So it definitely wakes you up to your own mortality and understanding, and you know, you might not know why you're on Earth, but you know you're here for a small amount of time, you know, and you learn to take advantage of enjoying the time you're here more. I think that's why I was so ready to just retire and step back from working.
That's great.
And focus on spending time with family and taking vacations and doing stuff I enjoy, going to the shooting range and fishing and camping, and, you know, doing you know, I talk a lot about cooking. I cook a ton, you know, like that's my outlet. That's my way of kind of disconnecting from everything that I know is going on out there. And I can just be kind of in my own little world, understanding what's going on outside of my world, but taking that stress off of me so I can move forward, you know. And I've had to do that my whole life with people I know dying and being around death. I mean, I grew up around death. My parents were police officers, and I'd sit down in the morning for breakfast before school, and there'd be pictures of a homicide on the table, and be eating my oatmeal and looking at pictures of brain matter and stuff like that from my adoptive dad being a detective.
Boys will be boys.
And it's like, so I've grown up. My uncle was shot 3 times in the head and left for dead, you know, and so that kind of stuff has always been involved in my life. So I've learned to disconnect pretty well, I think. I mean, yeah, I've got my own issues. You know, I've got the trifecta of PTSD, depression, and anxiety, you know, the perfect storm in the brain, you know.
I think a lot of people actually have that.
Yeah.
I think that's probably one of the most common things from anyone that's served for any amount of time and seen some messed up things, whether you were in war, a battle, or just general messed up crap that you see while you're in the military.
All it takes is your life to be threatened or of some sort, you know. You know, a lot of people don't even remember this on the Fife. Gilly does. When we were going through the Straits of Hormuz and the Iran boat wanted to, you know, taunt us and cause problems, you know, that right there alone can cause PTSD, because at one point,
Oh,
huh?
I don't remember that at all.
Yeah,
2,000
they were
crews. Yep.
they were coming in. They were trying to get super close to us, and they were talking about opening fire on us. I
They
mean,
do that all the time. But the
Yep.
thing is that I'm a
That's when
topsider.
Captain Carl, or not Carl, but Fields, Commander Fields,
hmm
you know, he turned a 5-inch, both 5-inches on him.
Yeah.
You know, and
What's
if I remember correctly, we did fire warning shots at him.
the bad thing is a topsider for me. I mean, watching a lot of war movies and shit, or whatever. When you're an empathy kind of person, and you understand that the engineers are living like below the water line and have to keep the ship moving, and you're under duress. If you get zapped and you're gonna freaking sink, or just you're fucked. Those guys are supposed to stay on watch, and they're already below the water line while the ship's already sinking. So when these ships went down in World War II, the vast majority of the guys who died on those ships were engineers, and it's because they just either didn't leave or couldn't leave. You guys have seen all the movies where the ship rocks 90% over on its side. You can't get the hatches open, you know, and that's reality. And I
You're
always
already at a
thought about you guys with that.
Yeah.
I always thought about that with you guys. So Gilly, I have an idea. On this fife note, as a fifer, you may or may not like this idea or want to. I guess it can go anything in your whole life or our lives. And anybody been blown up more than 7 times cannot even answer this question because they already have too many stories. But do you have any stories? You and Rocky have any stories that you went through stuff with people that were qualified to do what they were supposed to do, and things went wrong, and you said, "Holy shit! I can't believe we just didn't either blow something up or die." I mean, do you have any sea stories? We were talking about sea stories before the show came on.
Well,
and it's like,
if you'll get back down to training, you know, when we got back, left Yoko, it came back in '98. Desert came on board and reamed us fucking very hard.
In Everett, yeah, it's so horrible. Yeah,
they reamed. They took our keys away. We could not get underway without
yes.
them. And this falls back to the Clinton era because they took away so much money from the fucking Navy, especially 7th Fleet people, the first ones to be deployed if something went wrong in fucking Middle East.
Yeah,
I remember that, man.
We were called the tip of the spear at that time. The tip of the spear was
and
7th
everything
Fleet.
everything that was fixed was pretty much jerry rigged. You know, a lot of times. You know,
like really, this is new. I remember this. This is new. I thought you guys were actually doing the stuff. Like, you know what I mean? So the next time they came on the next day and said, "Nope, can't get underway." Next day, "Nope, can't get underway." Over and over and over.
And that right there, they fucking made us fucking. You know, the training. That's when the training really got fucking real. For
Liberty got secured.
Fucking, I mean, we was working, staying up anywhere from 16 to 22 hours, doing drills, fixing everything.
Light bulbs, switches.
2 hours of sleep, 3 hours sleep.
Oh my god, I didn't know, man. We were stuck there too.
That was 7 fucking days a week for 3 fucking months.
Yeah,
Don't forget that shit.
I remember that.
Yeah, but
I'll tell you this, Gilly, real quick, man. That as a chief, at least in my heart, we were with you guys, even though you guys were going through all the pain. Absolutely, it sucked. Could not get underway.
What came out of that? We had some of the best well-trained fucking snipes in the fucking fleet.
Yeah,
on the West Coast, and possibly on the East Coast too. And that's when Little Tate and Thumper came in. You know, we still had that train. We still trained like that, and that's why, you know, they learned their jobs. They did a great job. They did. You know, but
I remember.
We had to go through all that bullshit the hard way. You know, and we get underway, right? We get underway for 5 days, pull back in, go Liberty, especially for engineers.
Yep.
Work on the shit, go back underway on Monday.
It was like a permanent rough trade. Back in the day, they called it rough trade when you went out.
We was all bitching because we were so fucking wore out. You know,
and the divorces were getting filed, and the kids were fucking up in school, and you know, I mean
I mean, we were so fucking sleep deprived. Yeah, tempers did flare at that time, and I'm sure there was a lot of fights, especially in control room. You know, shit. You know, but that comes to the territory too. But it gets back down to fucking how bad you want the fucking job. You know, how bad you want to know your job. That's what it comes down to. And we learned it. You know, because Rocky was still in Maine too at that time. You know, then he transferred. Then he transferred to go DC, but shortly after that.
Yeah, I mean, I remember I was at ERM and I was working in Maine too with you. Yeah. I think it was with you, Gilly. And we were fixing valve hand wheels, labeling things. So everything could be located per EOS, EOP, and the tag out, the tag out PMS, because
all those little
we
labels
always had
and everything.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Yeah, like like DL055 was this to fresh water or whatever. I remember that because I remember we were getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning. We were down in the engine room from 7:30 to at least 12. Then we went to lunch, and we only had like 20, 30 minutes of lunch, I think. And they're like, get back down in the hole and keep fixing everything. They had people that were wiping down all the machinery to make sure there was no oil sheen. They were draining the bilges all the time. And I was one of the guys that was labeling everything and all of that. So, I mean, yeah, we learned a lot. And I mean, that's how I was able to align CRP or PHOS, and no one else on the boat could do it. Yeah. And I'm sure, like, I remember, I think Grijalva was doing the lube oil filter change thing. Remember that was an evolution we had to watch. Yep. I forget what other evolutions we had.
The fuel filters, the centrifugal fuel filters, the inline filters, all that stuff.
Color coding valve wheels, right?
They had us going.
Oh, we took them all off, had a fucking powder coated.
Yeah.
Fucking SEMA. Fuck.
Yeah.
I mean, that's when Baker was needle gunning and falling asleep in the engine room while he was needle gunning, because
I've never
we were working.
And I've never known how you can fall asleep needle gunning at all. Oh my God.
Baker was a funny guy, man. I miss that dude. He was a funny guy.
If you saw a guy pissing into the bilge, you'd let him do it. Just say, okay, whatever.
Well, and that's what Desron too found our fucking, because underneath the module we had those fucking rags and bales of rags, right? Dude, we had a fucking napping quarters down there underneath the fucking turbines, underneath the engines. They're like, nope, get this shit out of here. Like, fuck.
That's because it was a fire hazard.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, now that we're talking about this, I remember all of that stuff. I mean, I would be going to bed at 22:30, 2300 and having to get up. Like,
well, sometimes we didn't go to bed. We was not allowed to go to bed until about 0300.
Were you guys married at the time?
I wasn't. No, hell no.
No.
I never was married in the military at all.
Yeah.
Oh, I was.
I didn't until.
Oh, we know you was.
You know how they always say you're never a good recruiter unless you've had a divorce. Both of my divorces happened while I was a recruiter.
Finding out about stuff before you came a recruiter. But I did know a couple of sailors that their marriages were working well when they were assigned to a sea command because they were underway, and then when they got to shore duty, they wanted to be with their wife and kids. They were so happy they had earned shore duty and done their sea rotation, only to find out when they got to shore duty that things were weird in the house. And it turns out that the wives had steady kind of long-term affairs going on with gentlemen that knew when the ship was getting underway. You know what I mean? And that's like the worst betrayal. It's the worst betrayal. So their families.
Was the thing is, like, San Diego, man, when we were down in San Diego and a ship would leave, that on base bar would be packed full of women.
What's the name of that? What was the name of the one you said? What was it?
Metro. It was like Club Metro or something.
There's another one. I'll remember it. It's closed. They didn't even tear it down yet. It's been closed for like 15 years. I'll remember it. Oh God, I'll remember because I've been in there quite a few times actually.
There's one in down in Mission outside or National City called the Trophy Lounge.
Damn it.
That's the one where all the Filipino wives would go.
Yeah, well, same thing in
not all right Filipino wives there. He had white women there too.
You go right outside Gate 8 for like 3 blocks, and you turn right onto National City Boulevard, mile of cars, and there was a club there that. So here's another weird sea story. I was on the Halsey, I was so naive, man. I was so naive. I was second class petty officer of the watch on the quarterdeck, and we had ATG on board, and they couldn't get underway, right? So same shit. But the phone would ring to the quarterdeck, and I'd always pick it up and do that whole speech. Non-secured line, USS Halsey, petty officer of the watch can help you. And then they'd hang up on me, and they over and over and over, over and over and over. And some guy finally walks by and goes, "Motherfucker, that's somebody's wife waiting to see if the ship's underway so they can go out partying." You know, and I was like, "Damn." That
get back to, get to that point, right? Those ones got cheated on. They found their wives. Those are the same motherfuckers that cried about it, but yet they were doing the same exact thing.
Yeah, probably.
So,
yeah.
I saw this on the Laboon, and that one guy was crying. I said, "Dude, you was trying to fuck somebody else too, motherfucker. So shut the fuck up about that."
You just weren't
cheating. If you're cheating, she's fucking cheating.
Yeah.
So shut the fuck up. You're the one dumbass that fucking got married in the military and what about her cheating? No, shut the fuck up.
Which is a safety note for guys. Don't get married.
And here's one that fucking, I remember this fucking, when was it first time we went to Australia? Remember? Chief fucking Turbo. His fucking safety brief to us was, grab your shit, boys. There's some shit that fucking Ajax can't fucking scrub off.
You remember when he said to you and me, I think it was just you and me, it might have been everyone. He said, to make chief, you got to go to mass 3 times, and you got to get an STD 3 times.
And you got to have an alcohol-related incident at least once.
Yeah. And one of the masks would have to be an alcohol-related incident to make chief. And it's funny because a lot of it was true before that, but then after that, I remember people would go to mass 3 times and they'd get kicked out.
Yeah.
They were booted.
Well, that's like,
remember
when I told him I wanted to go to rehab, right? In fucking 2001. I did that to get my fucking license back because I had a DWI back home before we went on the fucking Westpac. And I wasn't going to tell them that I wasn't going to tell them I lost my fucking license because then they would go fry me again.
Who was that? Do you remember that fireman? That fireman, I forget where we were. I think we were, weren't we in Bremerton? He walked up to the command master chief, the CMC, with a bag of weed. He was already on restriction, and he walked up to the CMC and handed him a bag of weed, thinking he was gonna get kicked out. And we ended up leaving Bremerton. He was put on 45, and we ended up leaving Bremerton, and we ended up going down to San Diego.
And they made him stay in, right?
And they made him stay in.
Yeah,
and then when we got to San Diego, they sent him to the brig. He was in the brig for I think it was 8 months before they separated him, and he thought he was going to get a flight home. And they said, "Oh no, you're going to carry your stuff. We're going to walk you to this line.
To the gate.
Once you cross this line, you're on your own." So this dude was basically living on the street in San Diego because he thought he was going to get one over and get out. And oh my God, dude!
I remember that, but I can't remember his fucking name.
I can't remember either.
What was the person in deck?
No, he was an engineer. He was a fireman. He was I think at the time he was an FA, an apprentice, and he got busted down to fireman recruit, and they separated his ass from the brig, not from the ship. They basically transferred his command to the brig.
Up at Miramar. That would be
this before we went on the deployment in 2000.
It was after. Because it was when
this person would have been on the deployment with us, right?
He would have been on. I don't think he was new, so he wouldn't have been on the Westpac with us.
If he was an FA, he was new. He just didn't like being where he was and wanted to go home. So
yeah.
So they're talking probably 3 months of all that since he got to the ship.
But he had somebody bring him weed to the ship because he was already on restriction. And he walked up to the CMC and was like, "Here you go." So they hit him with a charge and then fucking turned around and charged him and court-martialed his ass. And he was so mad. He was screaming.
He probably, if I remember right, guys do stupid things at captain's mast where captain's mast would help them to just get their NJP done, because it's two different felonies. Like
Yeah.
a court martial's a felony and a captain's mass is not a felony,
Yep.
right? So something like that. I don't know. I've been to mass. I got busted from E4 to E3 and did 45, 350 times 2, which was half my pay in 1985. So yeah, that was a pretty interesting experience being on the ship all summer. The interesting thing about that, my captain's mass was, we were in the middle of workups for deployment. I was on the Carl Vinson. My first ship was a brand new Carl Vinson. And what sucked was that my restriction days ended while we had basically just gone out to sea for a 6-week like ref trade thing out to Hawaii and back for carrier quals. So I got my ID back and still couldn't walk off the ship for another 5 weeks because we were underway. So it was like, yeah, fuck it. But that, that was a character builder, so I liked it. It was good. And then I had been busted for THC. So which was, I don't know if it depends how they write it down in your record, but THC is weed. I got popped on a piss test, and then later on, that was still in my record. Let me tell the C story. This is a short one. I wind up kind of being a traitor and going to the Senior Enlisted Academy in Rhode Island, because everybody had told me you need to get that feather in your cap. So I went to the Senior Enlisted Academy as a set of orders between changing commands. I don't remember where I was going to. I was at E8 at the time. And then I sent in my LDO package, my chief warrant officer package at that time. Actually, I had left. Okay, I remember it now. I had left the Constellation. I transferred off the Constellation as the number 2 senior chief on the ship, and had sent in a warrant officer package from the Connie, right, when I was standing bridge washes and shit like that. And then I get to the Senior Enlisted Academy and I get called to some office, and the master chief there goes, "Hey, you got this correspondence from the board, from the selection board. They're missing 2 pages out of your package that you have to submit." And I'm like, I fucking submitted all the pages. So some guy or girl had pulled the pages out of my LDO package from my DD-214 and page 4s, saying that I had been the captain's mass for THC, right? So I said, you know what? Fuck you guys. Fuck this shit. Somebody did that on purpose, and there's nothing I can do. So I went and got photocopies of those pages saying that I busted on a piss test to the board. And I guess because they appreciated my ballsiness and had nothing to hide, they selected me. So I am the only Mustang that I know that ever got popped on a piss test and busted for a piss test. So that's kind of a weird C story, but hey, I'll stick with it.
Well, anything would bust you on a piss test. See, I remember getting fucking popped one piss test, not for fucking anything illegal. I was taking rip fuel all the time. And at that time, I had a feather in it, and that shit would pop you on a piss test. So I had to go show them the bottle what I was taking, right? They said, "Oh, okay, once I did that, they're like, you're good."
Well, I totally forgot about rip fuel until you just mentioned it right now.
That's when it had the good shit in it.
What was it?
What was it?
Freaking,
That shit's like cocaine, man.
Yeah. And I would pop 4 of them on a mid watch, right? Down to
my God, you druggies.
And drink fucking coffee at the same time. I mean, I felt like sometimes my heart was going to come out of my chest.
How did you ever settle down and get some rest after a watch, or just didn't,
Well, I was a clean fool down at Main 1 at that time.
Oh, my God.
That shit would happen. I couldn't sit still. I was like jittery, just like you do a fucking, a couple lines of coke, right? Dude, that shit was like, woo!
Did creatine ever get popped? I don't think so. Creatine.
I never used that bullshit creatine or protein powder, right? Because if you eat right while you're lifting weights, you don't need all that bullshit. Only pussies use that shit.
Kind of like being on watch and doing that, whatever you just talked about, right, Chipping? There you go. Oh!
Hey, Lil Tate, you got that one article from Gateway talking about how the Obama's presidential library? You still got that one pulled up?
Talking about the waste of money between Ukraine and what they're going to build for his presidential library.
Yep.
And
the fact that the contractor getting sued, right, or suing, get his money back.
Yeah.
He's a black owner, but don't hire non-minorities because he wants the best people. Okay, a lot of blacks don't want to work in construction field. We all know that. A lot of Asians don't. Who wants to work in a construction field a lot of times? It's mainly fucking white people, you know.
Well, not in Southern San Diego. Now let's talk about.
No, but I'm saying like here in the Midwest, right? Yeah, you got a few black people that still work in concrete, right? Construction, right?
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah.
But there are a very small minority that do that.
$40 million, and he only provides rebar and concrete services.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
That's insane.
And then you go down the structural engineering and design services for the $830 million project.
What?
Yeah.
$1 billion for a fucking library?
Yeah.
Well, that's about right.
That's
about right for Obama, right? He's the holy shit.
Yeah,
because you know it's going to be major
$1 billion.
Here's where it's going to be located. So it's a building on the south side of Chicago, has a 235-foot museum tower, a 2-story event space, an athletic center, a recording studio, a winter garden, even a sledding hill. So how much you want to bet they charge for this to go in here?
Oh yeah.
Oh, guaranteed.
Activities.
$1.5 billion.
And I've always said this, right? Presidents don't need a presidential library. Fuck that. Why are we wasting money on that bullshit? Play it simple.
Everything they do is archived. It doesn't matter, you know?
Yeah. And that's where fucking dodgings come in. It's like, no, we're not doing this shit. Fuck you.
Well, if Trump says, I don't need one, that would be kind of interesting. That would change things. Because I just saw today earlier, he's the first president in 100 years to not have a dog. Yep. So we'll see what else the fuck he comes up with, because he's shooting from the hip. And actually, he's not shooting from the hip. He has a plan, and he's, like we talked about earlier, he's fucking doing what he said. My stepkid said it. So he's a man of his word. That's what my stepdaughter said. We were talking about this earlier.
Well, he's a man. Like right there with
so does that make him a man of his word? And I'm like, well, you know, interesting you said that. That pretty much is true.
Elon accomplishes the impossible. Dodge chief announces Trump and Dodge will cut $1 trillion from U.S. deficit this year, and it's only the second week of Trump's term.
Yeah, we're close. I mean, they figured out how to cut $1.5 billion in the first like 4 or 5 days. Well, and we talked about that in the last episode. Like
cut out all those stupid fucking studies, right? Of what fucking how fucking drunk fucking monkeys could get. Come on now, or birds or whatever, right?
50 million for condoms. 50 million for rubbers to go to Gaza.
Yeah.
To make fuck that.
And those fucking goat humpers over there ain't gonna be using them because they like to have fucking kids. They're like fucking Mormons and Catholics. They just want to fucking procreate, so they can grow up to have little bitty terrorists.
But they figured out how to use the condoms to make bombs.
Yeah.
So that's why, you know, that's Trump's like, what? So, there you go. So how's Cash doing? Anything new on Cash? No, it's a Sunday, so what there's nothing new for that, right? So far, so good for Cash. So far, so good for JFK. And I guess they're gonna resume tomorrow, huh? We'll have something to talk about next time.
Should be coming here pretty quick for them.
Hopefully, RFK and Gabby and all of them, they should be hopefully tomorrow.
Yep.
So what's your guys' take on this from experience? If they survive the first day, if they survive the first 2 days, I mean, what's your guys' opinion on that?
It all goes down to how the fucking those rhinos like Mitch McConnell and a couple other those fucking women, right, are going to vote in the Senate. Now, we all know if it comes to a tiebreaker like it did with Hensick, you know who Vance is going to vote for.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, they won't let it go. I don't think they'll let it go to a tie because of that. I mean, I don't see a problem with them getting in. Everything that the Democrats are doing is all flex, you know. It's all a show, a dog and
pony show right there.
For the new Democratic.
With Sanders with his finger in the fucking camera's face.
Yeah, that guy. RFK fucking called him out.
AOC going,
Bernie Sanders has taken so much money, and the dude is is so far out there.
I'm
It's
so
ridiculous.
fucking proud.
I want everybody to have free stuff, but I'm gonna make
8 million people
millions of
gave me
dollars.
$27, not a one fucking dime from any
Yeah.
pharmaceutical CEO. Blah, blah, blah. Fuck you.
And there's so much proof out there that he has.
Exactly.
It's ridiculous.
So
So
you just look at Open Secrets. It tells you the top 20 from 1994 to 2024.
yeah, and
Top
like
20.
I said, it's all a dog and pony show to show the new head of the Democratic Party that they still care and they're going to fight the good cause and everything. And then they're going to turn around and they're going to get confirmed. Our guys are going to get confirmed. I mean, it's
Donald Trump will not be president.
And you know what's even
look at-
funnier? Okay, what's even funnier is two of them were previously Democrats. Gabby told Gabby and RFK both.
And RFK,
and like RFK pointed out, a couple months ago, you guys were my friends, and they were. But now that he wants to actually make some changes and he actually sees some of the major issues that's been going on, he has made that switch over, and now he's the ultimate enemy to the Democratic Party because he knows all their secrets, and that's why Bernie Sanders freaked out, because Bernie Sanders knows, RFK knows where that money came from. He's not stupid. He was there, guaranteed. He has the inside scoop on the whole Democratic Party. So, of course, they're scared of RFK. They're scared of Gabby Tulsi, and all of these people that are previously Democrats moving over. They're 100% shaking because they could let loose on some of these secrets that they don't want out. And I think eventually it's going to really come out, but it's not going to come out until they're confirmed and all that,
Well, I want to know what Dog and Pony Show is actually proving. It's proving that they're incapable of being tolerant of anything unless it's their fucking way, like little toddler crybabies.
Yeah, you're going to tear apart a guy that wants America to be healthier? Like, does that make any sense? Like,
I would tell them, you guys went full retard. Never go full retard.
Full retard.
They went full retard again.
We're allowed to say that now. Apparently, I guess there's an executive order saying you can say retard now. I'm just kidding.
Well, you always could say retarded. It was just those PC people. No, you can't do that. Bullshit.
Gilly, you can say whatever the fuck you want, and you do frequently, so it's all good. Just send me over some barbecue, man.
Now,
got a shirt that fits.
Did y'all see what Hakeem Jeffries, calling for kind of like an insurrection in a way? Val would take the fight to the streets. Did y'all see that? Got that article?
You got an article on it or a video?
You still got that one, Lil Tate?
One more time.
I think he's getting it right now, guys.
All right.
I'm trying to find it because it's like dug in there because it was a video and I didn't have it already staged because I didn't think we were going to go into Hakeem Jeffries.
That motherfucker. Holy shit. I did see that. I'm like, what the fuck is, who's this guy?
I want to share.
I never heard of him.
I got it off. I'm going to share this. If he's got the video.
Holy fuck. It's like freaking, like, man. He wants a war to start.
After Jeffries vows fight against Trump agenda in the streets.
Oh, that's as mild as you can get for the headlines. I mean, that guy's like declaring war in his speech. When
that right there,
up on the fucking podium, and he's like inciting combat.
And that's a threat right there. So he should be arrested because people don't realize this. Congressmen and senators can be arrested under our Constitution.
Yep.
And that right there, fucking threat. Just like with Maxine Waters and all them. When Trump ran the first time, right? Well, call for violence in the fucking streets, right? No, they should have been arrested and put in fucking Guantanamo Bay. Plain and simple.
Well, I did see an article about them. Trump saying he's going to open Gitmo up again.
Yeah. Yep.
30,000 bunks, right, for these knotheads that won't leave.
And this is what he said. That's talking about like right now, we're going to keep focus on need to look at everyday New Yorkers, everyday Americans who are under assault by extreme MAGA Republican agenda. That's trying to cut taxes for billionaires, donors, wealthy corporations that stick New Yorkers, working class across the country with the bill. The Democrats said during a press conference, that's not acceptable. We're going to fight. It's legislatively. We're going to fight in courts. And we're going to fight in the streets. He continued. Okay.
That's it. That's the line.
fair.
What they're
the
trying to do
streets.
is create a fucking keep us all the race start a race wars. What the fucking Democrats trying to do. Exactly.
We're
They're
going to
trying
fight
to
the
get everyone
streets.
to get divided again.
Yeah.
They don't want a United States that's united. They want a divided United States. And it makes me think like these people are all criminals and they're trying to destroy the country. Why aren't they being put in jail? I don't care if they're a freaking House minority leader or a majority leader. I don't give a shit. If you're doing that stuff, how is that bettering the United States of America? And why do other countries come before us? Why?
They should.
Well, let's go back to 2016. I was all about Trump getting elected because I've always been a Republican like voter, and he gets in there, and he was his rhetoric that he remained steadfast was us against them for 4 years, and I think people got tired of that shit. Besides the magical 18 million votes that didn't exist come out and rob him of the election, it would have been tight. But people were, even Republicans were tiring of his us against them thing. I really wanted to be an American and a united America. But you guys notice now in 2024 how much he smoothed out on that. Didn't even touch it. Did not touch it. He's calling specific cases of idiocy, but he's not trying to get this like divide the country. So if I ever knew a dude that tried to divide the country more than Trump, I can't think of who it would be.
Obama did. That's why they call him the divider in chief. He's the one that started.
Obama. Yeah, well, Obama was a racial divider, so he came in there to straighten out the racial divide and fucked it up, just like Chicago. When he was a social manager in Chicago, he was a complete failure there, and just there because hey, I just happen to be black, so people like me, and
that's the reason why he fucking won. Yeah. That's the only reason why he won, to be that first black president.
Right. Exactly.
He wasn't the right choice for that.
That's why we got so lucky.
Black, we got to vote for him. No, you don't have to vote for him because of his skin color, people.
Well, that's why we got lucky with Trump this time around, because if we had a weaker Republican candidate like Rubio or whoever, we might have lost, and that would have been bad, man. Can you imagine what we would be doing right now if Harris won? We would be doing nothing except sending money to fucking Ukraine and sitting on our asses.
I wonder how many people would tender their resignations to get out of the military. Yeah. I mean, I could see a lot of people just getting out of the military. And I don't think that Trump had to say anything for this past 4 years, because since day one, when the guy went into office, everything got worse. I remember in 2022, from January to April of 2022, inflation went up 3 or 4 times.
Oh, fuck yeah.
And I ran a food truck with my wife, right? So we were like, we have to raise prices to survive. And it's like people were getting mad. It's like, well, I wanted to say, well, who the fuck did you fucking vote for?
But you couldn't
vote for this stupid retarded shit we're going through or not.
Yeah, that's horrible. Man. That's horrible. You know, and everybody took it up the ass.
It is the truth. That's the truth. You guys, if you guys actually voted for this shit, you're getting what you fucking deserve.
You know what's funny?
We're not gonna pussyfoot around this and act like, oh, this is okay, kumbaya bullshit. No, you stupid fucks. If you fuckers voted for this shit because you want to be politically correct and not hurt anybody's feelings by telling the truth, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, and the interesting stuff to me is the ignorance of the Democratic Party, where they're posting stuff on YouTube where, like, the day after the election, the morning after the election, when Trump was clearly the winner, they're like, well, prices have not gone down yet. Prices have not gone down yet on my eggs. I went to the store. They're not changed. And everybody's like, he's not in office yet. And then he gets into office, and they're like, the next day, they're like, well, eggs have not gone down yet. What the fuck, you know? But somebody's trying to tell them that the infrastructure for transportation planet-wide fuel prices have to get adjusted to then transport these items and then feed back to the farms, because they're paying less for transport prices and could pay less for stuff to make their fields better, fertilizer, which brings them to a product that they can make cheaper which brings that product to the market at a cheaper price. You can't do it overnight. And they're all finding that as being a fault of his, because he can't wave a wand and go kumbaya and oh yeah, that's it. So the Democrats are saying, he's a failure because of that. But I think within the first year, we're going to see some significant changes. Out here in California, the weirdest thing for me out here in Southern California and San Diego is that it seemed like the day after the election, fucking gasoline prices went down like $1. And I can't say why that happened other than people trying to save their own asses because they've been trying to fucking rob us for the last 4 years legally, but they went down and they're still down. So there is gas under $4 a gallon in San Diego.
They know there's an expectation for the gas prices to be lowered because Trump is going in office.
What's the gas price there where you are?
It's like
the stuff you buy,
like 277, 272.
Yeah.
Be honest with you, I only have to fill up the vehicles once every fucking 4 months because I don't drive anywhere hardly anymore.
And
every time I go to Eagle Stop, right, get some beer or two, I never pay attention to the gas.
I can see you riding your bicycle like the Wicked Witch.
I take the truck or the car.
Well, there were other stupid things that happened after Trump won the election. The Aqua Tofana shit. Those all failed.
Yeah.
Women saying, "Hey, if your husband voted for Trump, divorce him." Like, okay.
Yeah.
Right
Shaving
now,
the heads. Yeah.
Right now on my Facebook, which I don't know if you can see, I just opened my Facebook. There's a Mexican restaurant here in town. We have a high population of people from the Balkans, which is like Bosnia, Croatia, Serbia, Kosovo, Macedonia. We have a high concentration of that. We have quite a few Africans and we have a lot of Mexicans, right? And this Mexican restaurant just posted 47 minutes ago. On February 3rd, we stand in solidarity. Our restaurant will be closed as we join our staff, families, and community in a day without immigrants to push for immigration reform. Immigrants are the backbone of this country, working hard, contributing to society, and building a better future. We stand with those who are here to work, to provide, and to create a better life, not to cause harm. They deserve respect, dignity, and fair opportunities. We will not tolerate seeing people who have committed no crimes being shackled, paraded, and treated in inhumane ways for the world to see. This is not justice. This is not who we should be. They are our brothers and sisters. Their humanity matters. Their dignity matters. Their contributions matter. No school, no spending, no work. What's next? As we brought to life the motto, no love, no tacos, to create consciousness in the world, we recognize that having a platform comes with responsibility. It is our duty to say no more. You cannot pick and choose what you want and accept from a culture or a people. You cannot celebrate our food, our music, our labor, and our traditions while ignoring our struggles and humanity. After Monday, we spend it with purpose. Support businesses that stand with our community and uplift immigrant workers. Do not give your money to corporations that have profited from our labor and our spending, only to turn their backs on us when it matters most. Use your voice, stay engaged, keep fighting for policies that protect and respect immigrant families. Please respect those who are able to make this happen, as well as those who are not.
I'm trying not to scream.
So once again, if they didn't commit a crime by coming here legally,
yes,
I stand with them. But if
here's the thing.
Legally, I don't care.
There's already like
serve them tacos. They can come to where I live and they can get tacos from me.
There's already you, those cocksuckers that are not here.
Like who knew
legally,
that tacos would be at the center?
Don't work for that company
right now.
Tacos. There's already like over 30 comments, and they just posted it a little bit ago.
Fucking
and everybody's
like online and have a bunch of illegal immigrants working for them. So
and everybody online on the comments are like, "Well, it was good having you as a business for a while, so we'll see you later." You're pretty much putting yourself out of business.
Fuck
you know,
you don't do that shit in the Midwest.
Nobody's that stupid, brother. Nobody's.
And
that
it's
stupid.
Dude, I have a story about that. There was a food truck that they were in Asheville and Charlotte, and this was like 2021, 2022, and they were really popular. Like they were one of the biggest food trucks out there, right? and the guy started not serving police. And remember when that was going on, where they refused to serve police?
Oh my God.
That, and he said something on Facebook, and within 2 days he had to shut down his business and truck because he got arrested for fighting police officers, and he had to shut his business down. And this guy was probably bringing in like 5-6 grand a day, serving, I forget what kind of food he was serving, but I mean, people are going nuts with this stuff. Like when I say my original thoughts, like, did you fucking vote for these people? Then you deserve this shit. I would have to say, look, that's what I really want to say to them. But it's like, listen, everyone here is just trying to survive. We lower our price as much as we can actually lower, so that we can actually serve you guys, so that you don't have to spend so much money, but so that we can make money to survive. You know what I mean?
Yep. And what's crazy is so this restaurant, they have like 7 restaurants in the Quad Cities. Like they're all over. You know, they're numbered 1 through whatever. And they're not even that good. You know, it sucks.
That people's got to have papers for them to like expose themselves. Though all of you guys have said this today. How dumb would be somebody to talk a bunch of shit and self-incriminate?
Yeah.
You know, nobody's are people that stupid?
Yes,
here's a video.
Yes,
I'm
they
going to
are.
share. That's I found on Facebook, right?
Uh-huh.
Can y'all see that? Oh no, who will pick the crops?
Yeah, and it's a robot.
We got fucking machines that pick
that
crops.
right there. That right there is racism.
Yep.
Like, come on,
God
man.
damn it, you're guilty, man.
That's messed up. That's racism right there.
Is that a that's a puppy.
Are you too good to pick the food up and then treat it and serve it to other people? Are you too special to do that because you have a gender fucking studies degree?
Oh, totally, dude. I saw a video on some chick. She was like my age, and all the hats to go to the horse races first day, and she's like, "Don't fuck yourselves, because who's gonna pick our avocados? Who's gonna pick our avocados?" And I talked to my stepkid about that.
If they want to fucking come in this country and work,
get them from Mexico.
Get their fucking visa. Plain and simple. Come in the right way.
Yeah. Well, the thing is they're all worried about who's going to clean their toilets and who's going to pick avocados.
Exactly.
And stuff.
Exactly.
You know what?
Toilets?
Here's the thing. There's enough Americans, if we cut back on our welfare programs, which we obviously need to greatly, and put people back to work that are more than capable of working, we would have those people to do that kind of stuff. Because guess what? You always look at your entry-level jobs, right? Like my kids, I told them, you're not going to go work. You're not going to become a video game coder or a YouTuber right away. It isn't going to happen.
What was your first job? What was your first job ever? Like a real job that you got a W-2 for?
I had to actually help move furniture. My parents owned a furniture business, and I had to actually help deliver furniture.
And you were 14, 15, 12, 9? What were you doing?
Actually, I was 13.
Okay.
When I turned 14, I was court ordered to get a job.
Sorry.
I had to work at a Mexican restaurant owned by 2 white people.
Didn't
mean to bring that up. Gilly, what was your first job, man?
Well, mine was hauled hay. That was under the table. Hauled hay. That Dad worked construction, right? He had his own little side business.
That's what happened to your fucking neck, man. I mean, you fucked your body up from day one.
So I worked with Dad, painting houses, roofing, all that shit, right? But on that, let's share something real quick about how fucking these celebrities, right? These fake ass fucking fake crime. This one is I'm gonna share. Joey Diaz is calling out Selena Gomez, right?
Okay.
I don't know if y'all see this one or not.
Fucking Selena Gomez. She's the one talking shit.
This one's good right here. Watch. Can y'all hear that?
No.
The fuck?
You'll get it. It's fine.
Oh well. But he calls her out.
No. Just figure it out. It's gonna be good, man. I like his accent.
I ain't fucking gonna figure it out right now, but he calls her out, pretty much like, hey, fucking take care of yourself. You got the money.
Yes, plenty of money.
What's so
sorry I let you guys down. Oh, you don't give a fuck about you. You're a singer. Go sing. That's what you do,
You're worth $1 billion fucking dollars. Put your money where your fucking mouth is.
She's probably worth like 60 million, that chick.
What's so messed up about the situation is that they're demeaning people by saying, who's going to pick our crops because we're too good to do it? Who's going to clean our because we're too good. Why can't you be self-sufficient and clean your own shit?
They're the modern day fucking slaves. What they are. It's what they use them.
Some
You know,
superstars,
back in the
Marissa
1800s, right? When we
Marissa
freed the
Tomei
slaves,
or
right?
that bitch said, "Who's going to clean your toilets?" Literally, who's going to pick your avocados and who's going to clean your? I think it's her in that speech. She says, "Who's going to clean your toilets?" And you know what,
Gets
dude?
back to
You
what
know
we
who cleans the toilets in my fucking house? Me. I clean because
that gets back to what in the 1800s, right after the slaves were free, the fucking Dixiecrats like, oh, who's gonna pick our fucking cotton?
How about you do it?
Yeah.
How about
It's
you
the
do
same
it?
fucking.
I don't know.
It's the same thing Democrats use. Now they got a new slave.
Well, the Democratic Party was the party of slavery, and a lot of Democrats don't know that, but
because they're too fucking stupid to open their eyes up.
yeah, they've never done the research, and they just think
And
that
if anybody gets offended, see this
Trump
shirt?
bad, Trump bad.
Fuck your feelings.
Yeah, there you go. Sweet.
Yeah, America needs to get back to where we're not putting these giving Hollywood all this power. It's ridiculous just because they have some money. You know what? They're jesters. They're courtyard jesters. That's all they are to me. I don't look at these people like they're philosophers or anything. They're not scientists. They're not doing anything to make the human life livable, to be honest with you. They're not doing shit other than driving our prices up.
Exactly. I mean, all they do is they're some dude or some girl disguised as another dude or another girl trying to be some other person.
Yeah,
And
they
they
pretend.
is get
Their whole
paid
life is
money,
around pretending.
mouthpieces. They get paid money to be stupid mouthpieces on stupid issues they should not even be talking about. And now
They don't even know about anything.
yeah. The sad part is you know the CIA is involved in this.
Guaranteed.
The CIA is involved in this, and that's why I think the CIA is going to come under real scrutiny if what's her face gets into the intelligence community finally.
Gabby,
Yeah.
Look,
you get the
for
job?
everyone that gets confirmed, they do an outstanding job and make this country better, and they open the eyes of everybody.
Who's lined up? Who's lined up for that? Gabby? Is she, I lost track of
Yeah.
her.
I think it's her, but I hope that every person that gets confirmed, they do a really good job.
Yeah.
And they set this country on the right path. So in 4 years from now, we're not going downhill again. We're going up, and America's becoming a better place and becoming the world leader that it needs to be in these fucking volatile times.
So
Yep.
how long do you guys think they're going to start grooming JD to take the helm, or are they going to? I mean, I saw some weird brief. I didn't watch the video, but I saw. I'm always trolling through the YouTube, and it was something like the richest man in the world is trying to get the job as the United States financial manager or something like that. And I don't know. I didn't read the article, but that seemed kind of interesting that Elon would be. I mean, Elon is from South Africa and will never be president, but he's just kind of jumping in there. And at some point, Trump should limit him or unleash him. But the Doge thing, we'll see how this turns out. You know, I'd rather just watch Elon get his aircraft, get his spaceships going into space. But he's got time to get into government, and that's a little bit of a concern to me. That how wild that scene will get. We'll see. You know.
Well, get back on the people's first job. Lil Tate, what was your first job?
What, with a W-2 or under the table?
Either one.
Either. Both of them. Both of them.
It's the same thing you did. We baled hay and we picked crops. They would bring out a group of people that would pick sweet corn because they would grow it between the rows of the feed corn. So they would need people to actually physically go out and pick sweet corn. And then W-2, I was a fucking dishwasher at a truck stop. 14, man, get permission from the school to go to work. So I was paying taxes when I was 14. So
how much were you making when you were 14?
Huh?
How much were you making hourly?
Yeah,
14.
Like $4 or $5 is what minimum wage was.
Guys are so young.
Yeah.
Man.
Mine was
$4.50 or $5 or something like that.
Young.
Mine was
bucks.
$4.25 an hour.
Yeah,
at the
that's
restaurant.
about right. Yeah, I think Indiana, Iowa, I think around like $4.25, $4.50. It was under $5. I'll tell you that much.
Yep. Because I was bussing tables and doing dishwashing, and I was making $4.25 an hour. Yep.
I got you guys beat because I'm old. Because I'm old.
Your first job.
But I love that. So yeah.
Your first job. Yeah, Rocky.
Shit. The first job I really got paid for, it would have been I worked at Baker's Burgers. I was cooking hamburgers.
A burger flipper.
Flinging them.
Welcome to Good Burger.
And then I went to Red Lobster after that. And then I went to Big Five Sporting Goods. And then
Let me guess, you were a manager at Red Lobster though, man, because you had already slung burgers previously.
No, I had quit that job because I went back into wrestling, right? I did a summer job.
Wrestling.
School started. I concentrated on wrestling because I wanted to get a scholarship to go to like Iowa or Penn State.
Holy shit, good for you, man.
I didn't go that way. I ended up being a retard and joining the Navy. But you know, after that, I went to Red Lobster and I did that job. And then I had two jobs at the same time because I was working at Big Five Sporting Goods too. And Big Five Sporting Goods was actually a pretty cool sporting goods store at the time.
Yeah.
But after that, I joined the Navy and then I never came back.
The rest is history.
Yeah. But I think I was getting $4.25 an hour at Baker's, Red Lobster, and Big Five Sporting Goods.
Damn.
So, because that was minimum wage in the 90s.
Yeah, I think I was making like $6 something at Burger King when I worked at Burger King.
Plus free food.
Plus the free food, man. You can make whatever you wanted. Because I worked in the back. You know, I cooked the burgers. I didn't work the register taking orders. They didn't want me around people.
Fuck,
even back then.
I am with you, brother, all the way. I do not want fucking customer service. Fuck that. You guys know me. I hate people. Other than you guys.
All of us are engineers. We don't do customer service.
Fuck, I hate people. I hate people. That's why I retired early. Fuck.
Man, I remember coming out of the hole when we were underway out in the Gulf, and it was like 140 degrees down in the fucking engine rooms, and we come up to the topside to get something to eat, and all the topsiders have their coats on because they're fucking cold. And it's like you just walk past them and just throw elbows when you go into the fucking chow line, and you cut them in line, and they get all pissy, and you just give them that look like back the fuck off. You get your food, go scarf it down, and go back into the hole before you hurt somebody. That was
real shitmates.
You're about 20 degrees off on the tip. It wasn't 140. It was higher than that. It was about 160, 170.
Yeah.
Real sailors understood, you know, and that's probably why I was never interested in being an engineer, because you guys have the fucking hardest life.
And that's why we're the toughest motherfuckers on the boat.
Most likely to die in combat of all the sailors. So fuck that, you know.
They'd say, oh, you can only stay in the space for 15 minutes because of the wet bulb, dry bulb bullshit, you know.
At one point, it got down to 5 minutes one time. Got down to 5 fucking minutes.
And what do you guys do an hour, right? You guys did an hour, probably.
We end up doing more.
Talk about the red tags.
It was during the 2000 the Westpac. And if I wasn't doing VBSS, I was standing watches in ERM.
Yep.
And I remember I would do like 5 minutes and then 5 minutes, pass it off. I was like, no one ever got any fucking sleep that way. It was ridiculous.
We were always up, and I was always having to transfer fuel and shit. And so like being down in the space, you can't leave, you know, you got to stay in the space. So it's like, you're like, you would get maybe, you know, they'd say, oh, you can only be in the space 5 minutes. It's like, it takes an hour and a half to 2 hours to transfer this fuel. Like, there's no way in hell. So we ended up just sucking it up and running water down to each other. And, you know, the water that we use to prime the fuel filters, right? Because we used water and then it separated the seawater from the fuel before we transferred it. Well, we'd just turn those and stand under those and get nice and wet. And then within 3 minutes, you're dry again, you know?
Yeah. But the CO knew that if anybody died, it was on him, and he had to get that fuel, you know. So
that's why I loved all the DDG transfer fuel to oil lab, man. You had to go down the spaces, but after that, you go back in the fucking oil lab where it's AC and just push buttons. That's it. I love that part.
I never had that part. I was never that one.
You were there.
DDG, I was like, fuck yeah, hell yeah.
I actually thought that DDGs were a lot better than I never went on a DDG, but I thought
they're fucking shit compared to a fucking DD, man. They're just junk, I think, anyways.
They're slower. We know that for sure.
Oh, hell yeah. And the engine rooms are fucking hotter, even though they don't have fucking boilers.
Yeah.
A lot hotter. Because the fucking ventilation is so fucking small compared to DD.
Dudes, let's not go there because I like those new DDGs. They're pretty good. I got my swell pin on a cruiser and then went to a DDG, and people there seemed kind of happy. So, sorry.
Well, yeah, I bet they were happy.
No, those ships, the little fuckers, they're economical to build now, and they're tough because of all steel, and they got all their tricks for engineering propulsion and space stuff, and all the from the DDGs. So you take a DDG, you take a Fife class, whatever that thing's called, a Greyhound, and you put a big fancy top on it, and then you got one of those mighty fucking cruisers, same hull. So yep, exactly the same hull. And when you really go space by pace, it's kind of the same. They just crammed that baseline into those steel hulls, and those steel hulls are. I was pretty impressed with those. I was on the Milius, and shit rode pretty good, and was pretty tough. You had confidence with the all steel, and it rusted a lot, obviously. But I mean, if I was going to go into combat, give me any of those ships. But the Callahan, I was on the Callahan, and that thing was a fucking disaster, man. Ayatollah class, that was fucked up. But same idea, but just different levels of government qualifications for the steel and the piping and so on. So the piping broke all the time, and the ship was falling apart all the time. So yeah, so good. So thank God I got from the Callahan to the Fife and to Everett, because Everett had a lot of pussy. I'll tell you what, there's a lot of pussy in Everett.
A bunch of fat fucking bitches, because all they want to do is fuck because it rained so much.
You just had to look. You're not selected because you're an engineer. I knew engineers on the Halsey that would literally go out hogging. Their goal was to go hogging, and you know what that fucking means.
I did. I won the fucking hogging contest. Hell yeah!
Bitches, bang some chicks, and come back with the largest possible panties.
Yes.
And then they would win.
Never lost because Everett was full of those women, full of them.
No, but this is where was I when they were hogging?
Especially at the Anchor Bar that we all
Anchor Tavern. Well, if the manager was Sully. Remember Sully, the Filipino girl?
Yep.
Guess who was hammering Sully?
Probably you.
Yes, I was. So, but bless her heart. Her husband was a wonderful Master Chief engineer who decided to go after he retired to go into freelancing as an engineer for oilers in the Persian Gulf and become drive Persian Gulf oilers around and make tons of money. And he sent that tons of money back to Sully, to the Anchor, who then lost it all because she was a complete crazy party animal. And then he couldn't keep up with her. And I feel bad for that guy. Shouldn't have done this live. I should have done it live. But I love that girl to death, and I have not forgotten about her. And Sully, I think, also regrets the whole situation, and it just kind of happened. And whatever that guy's name was, hey, Master Chief, sorry about that, man, but it seemed like the right thing to do at the time. So, yeah. So if you went to the Anchor when they had a DJ or whatever, they had the upper area in the back, this like second level, right? And they would put the DJ up on this. So our favorite thing to do with the Anchor was moon the train. So so many things that were cool at the Anchor. The real Washington people would go get crabs and mussels and stuff, and bring them to the Anchor, and we would cook them out in the back. And but the back of the Anchor was a turn. It was a curve in the train line up there, so the train would depart and go right by the back of the Anchor, and we would moon the train. So everybody fucking, when the train was coming, we'd all moon the train, and they'd yell out the window, right, well done, really impressive, blah blah blah. But above the DJ deck, on the top level of the Anchor, there was a storeroom. around the corner, and that storeroom was about maybe 20 feet by 6 feet by 5 feet, and that was me and my girl's spot, and I do miss her to this day. I would definitely give her a big hug if I saw her again. I hope she's okay. And yeah, what can you do? Sorry, stealing the whole show here for the Seek sale. Next guy, next T story. Anyone?
Solly?
Solid, yeah. Soledad. Her name was Soledad. Soledad. She's the owner of the. She was the husband. She was the wife of the husband who owned the Anchor Tavern. And Solly had it while we were there. And I remember one night. I mean, I had my whole division there one time. I was the chief, and Solly's doing this dick measuring contest, right? And she had like a fucking tape measure, and everybody she selected to get measured for the length of their cocks would be laying their cocks on the pool table, and she would measure them and then declare who the winner was. So, yeah, unfortunately, I won that one. And my guys were coming up to me going, "There's no fucking way. There's no fucking way, Chief." And I was like, they were right. It was obviously faked, but I'm like, hey, what can I tell you? Talk to Solly if you have complaints on Solly. And yeah, that place was good times, because at that point in my life, I was getting divorced, and the Anchor Tavern was literally my living room and my respite and my home away from home, because I lived on the ship, and you guys know how it was living in Everett. You had this long pier, and then that checkpoint, and a long walk to the car parking lot. And it was always raining. Always raining.
All right, fellas,
So-
let's go ahead and end this one tonight. Y'all ready to?
Sure.
All right, Rocky, take us out.
All right. Hey, thank you guys for watching the Fifers. Hopefully you had fun listening to crazy sea stories and crazy shit going on with DEI, and it's still a big problem. And from the Fifers, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.